But this was another key moment that I remember in that car. We were coming off the Lodge Freeway, coming up at the exit, right there where the Total gas station was at before you hit Popeyes. You had to have taken that turn. It felt like you were doing about 80. I just don't remember. But I remember thinking in the passenger seat, like, oh, this ain't gonna be good. He ain't slowing down that much. You took that turn like a G. And I was like, yeah. And you said something about how the car can handle.
Yeah, especially if nobody's in the next lane. Yeah, right.
It wasn't one of those typical Mustang incidents where the car went sideways and you ended up doing a donut in the street. But
crowd killer.
Right, a crowd killer Mustang.
They didn't go sideways until the newer models came out. I don't know what happened.
No, I gotta say I had a story in it going sideways that my cousins would tell.
In mine?
Yep. But it was in the parking lot. It was in the parking lot at Myers, and Breeze and Kevin were there to pick me up, or they were there to pick. I think Breeze was picking Kevin up, and so we got ready to leave, and so Breeze pulled out, and I think he hit it or something, and then I hit it in the parking lot as well. But the car spun like completely around. And they laughed at me so much because it was like a movie where I went from one parking space and I turned around and I was like perfectly parked in another parking space. But that was how fast the rear end came around. Thankfully, it was like a midnight shift. Nobody was around. But yeah, that was when I learned of the power of that car, how easy that back end could get away from you. But I think you made it in reference to the other race that you had, that when you raced the old man on Telegraph in that Grand Sport.
That's what it must have been, yeah.
He even had his arm out the window, like, wouldn't even look at me. Like I wasn't there.
I just remember you came around, was that typical Michigan left. And I think y'all came around and you, again, we were brought up to revere those cars, all of those old cars. So you had said something about how nice that was and how fast that car was. And sure enough, y'all both just kind of came around and he just gradually, you started banging the gears and he had his arm out the window like you weren't even there and just started pulling. Just kept pulling. Like, oh, somebody racing me? Oh.
Yep. Don't underestimate a Buick, I'll tell you that now.
So now looking back at it, do you think that Grand Sport was stock?
Yeah.
Really? And it would have been that fast?
They were just fast.
Wow.
455.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, I think though, and that's why, again, I think the Mustang ended up being the one that impacted us so much, because all the cars you had told us about that were fast, that they could do this, they could do that. And then we went through that period, those horrendous 70s. We get to the early 80s where really to have an Escort GT was a fast car. Foreign cars still weren't really hitting that much yet, especially in Detroit. So you coming out with that and owning that was just next level. We finally could have a car like our fathers had that was actually really quick and fast.